Mm-mm. No.
Excuse me.
Is it green?
It's very Thursday. It's a from January. That's still the same. Especially the it's
Mic check, everybody. Mic check. Oh, in what? Oh, you got plug in. No, that helps. We're good there. We're good.
If you'd like to call December 3rd, 2025 meeting, for the board to order. And this time, we're going to be stand or occasion led by Vice Chair Ray Nelson, followed by the pledge.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we can come and gather here in this place to do your business and the business of the people of Nassau County. We ask that you would guide us, give us discernment, give us direction, give us patience and understanding. We ask now that you bless our leaders of the nation, that you would guide and direct them. You'd be with our first responders, God, that you would just go before them and protect. We ask all this in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen. What is your life? That's just me. It's fine.
Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Hale, Secretary Treasurer Cole, Vice Chair Nelson, Chair Taylor. Thank you.
Thank you. With regard to our guests, everyone for joining us this evening. I'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and you're as excited to be here as we are. So thank you. So at this time, we're going to move into the election of officers. Before we do, I just want to thank your all of us up here for voting me last year to be service chair. That joined us. It's a great role running these meetings. But really thank you for supporting this support and interest in putting me in the last year. At this time, going to turn it over to Tammy Bob, who will lead the election.
Yes, so are there any nominations for chair?
Nominate Ray Nelson for chair.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second. I believe that was Commissioner Hill. That was first. So there's a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, congratulations, Chair Nelson. And now you take the gavel and it is time for you to lead elections. And you should lead the election now for a vice chair, please.
Do you have a nomination for vice chair?
Nominate Scott Warren for chair. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now the agenda is yours, Chair Nelson.
Secretary Treasurer.
Oh, right. We need, I'm sorry. Thank you, Reginald.
Do we have a nomination for secretary of training?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Hill.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For goodness sake, like,
Service Secretary for.
Right. That concludes our election of officers. Moving down to public comments on non-agenda items.
There were
think we
none.
Have any? So with that, we'll go and move on to item A, approval of minutes, for November 12, 2025.
motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Get that. Number 9, we have the attending report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Last month, it's on the agenda tonight. We completed, Rosanna and I, the RFP for the website. And she did a great job preparing the draft. So I just did a little bit of research to make sure that we were going to get somebody that understood what our needs were with regard to ADA compliance. And of course, the deadline for us being compliant is April 2027, and that's in the RFP. So later in the agenda, you'll have that for consideration and approval. And once it's approved, then Rosanna will publish it. And considering the holidays, I think I put January 15th as the date that it's due.
Yeah.
Might be January 10th.
We could adjust it.
So we would be, this board would have the, any proposals to review by the time you have your first meeting in January is how I was looking at it. And then the second meeting in January, ideally, you would approve it. And just like the security services RFPs, this board is the evaluation committee to do the evaluation. So that's roughly the timeline. The other is I am working with Amy Polson with Savage to discuss the reimbursement of Patrick Kowski's legal fees for the property appraiser case. I'm doing some research at the request of Commissioner Moore regarding different types of fees that ports charge, not just an operator, but a port authority or the governing body, or what types of different fees that they can charge. We know about tariffs, we know the fees that we have now, but Commissioner Moore identified some other, and I haven't been able to, not enough to report tonight, determine whether those are just called something different, and we already covered those class of fees. So it's just something I'm researching and we'll report back. And then the other is Ted and I were going to work on an agreement for, there's two different letters that we need, templates that we need, so that OPA, the operator, can memorialize an agreement. One is for matching funds for grants. That's something that I wasn't sure, Ted, if you were going to work on that or it was like fee sharing for new business, but I'm working on this week, the grant letter for matching grant funds. So whenever there's a grant, so we have 2 tonight. With that, it says in the resolution now that it's the expectation of OPA that the operator will pay the matching funds. You're not bound to a resolution by OPA, so we would do a subsequent letter agreement, hopefully at the next meeting, that says that the operator agrees to these grants and the matching funds, paying matching funds. And if you don't, then we don't apply for the grant. The other is for new business, and that is a little more because I don't have, other than Green Tide, I don't have anything specific, and I don't really have specifics on them, how I would do a fee sharing letter. So I'm actually looking for, if I might, during my report, just kind of ask for feedback, what you're looking for and how you see, are we supposed to discuss new business here and then openly discuss generally what the terms might be, and then I formalize it, or you want to go some other way?
I'm happy to provide feedback. Kevin? Okay, so it's gonna take a little bit of getting used to share lots of business say a few times. Thanks. Um, the new business is under operating agreement. It says that we work together to agree to fee sharing for any new business. So those terms would have to be memorialized by this board, agreed to by this board. Obviously, we can't discuss anything that hasn't been signed or announced publicly, but if there's good news about hopefully some new business, I don't want to jinx it, it's still in negotiation. But if we're able to, get those terms out there, then I think the full board should benefit of that. But we'll go.
And I think we should do business, obviously, we need new revenue opportunities.
No.
Not really cargo money.
Right.
A lot of the report opportunity agreement includes revenue sharing, includes the per ton fee for cargo. So again, cargo would not be subject to this. This is new non-cargo movement related activity.
Right, and I talked with Peter about, do we have benchmarks for what Port Authority is typically charge? But we do have an operating agreement. We know what the revenues of the port are because it's publicly reported. Because of the bonds, they're reported in the operating reports as revenues at the port for India. And so we know what those revenues are. We know what our fee is. So we have a sense of what our current fee sharing arrangement is, but that might be different for cargo handling is for a different type of business. I think it's in good faith or there should be. And I appreciate that it's been really forthright about new opportunities. You guys have been very creative and just going after new business lines when there are so many to cargo generally to the business model to the port brings. So good job. So are we gonna get those, what's the status, what's the timeline?
Well, I need to probably get with Ted on how I don't want to just flip something that's complete. Probably good for us to have a conversation. And what I'm working on are templates that we can use, over and over. We need to. And so with the fee sharing, new business, I think that it's probably the grant stuff's easy, but this is more because I know that you'd sent an email, at least one email that just was like, this is kind of what I'm thinking. And so we'll just work on that together and I'll put something in writing. What do you think, Ted? I think it's more dependent in terms of when a draft would come here.
I think commercially, I'm just not there yet. I'm still like negotiating some things. So, I mean, but I do think it's fine if we want to work on boilerplates.
Yeah, yeah, but I need probably a little bit more. We can talk about it. I mean, a boilerplate is not, they're going to be basically letter agreements. It's boilerplate. They will give you some language. The boiler, for example, for the grants, that's going to be very easy because it's going to say the grant, it's going to identify the grant, blank percent matching, and basically operator agrees to pay those matching funds.
It'll be grant by grant, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And then the fee sharing for new business, I'm not even sure how to put
Yeah, I
that
mean,
into it.
it's not.
I think it's probably
It's not a done. Nothing's a done deal, and I just don't want to spin our wheels before. But I can report back to the next meeting if that's okay. I should have some clarity.
Just philosophical. Having procedures in place will go a long way to increasing our visibility about making sure that both sides are up to speed on what the requirements are, what the expectations are on the side.
Richard, I felt like for but obviously the question for the port authority should, yes, the revenue sharing and the cost of sharing revenue, yes, and you opportunity to prove because they're not included as part of the contract, right? Contract simply saying about the cargo across the board. But I think the commission should consider, if we thought we were doing a job to create a job, and that's all counting, so you know, the opportunities that are brought, how many jobs are they creating, how much economic opportunity created, and that's all counting. So you want to port, the port operators money in this, so that they can take those opportunities on, and, you know, that's the first mission to me. Okay, I don't agree with you, but that should be the first mission of the port, is to create those new economic opportunities. The revenue sharing and increase in revenue, yes, that's nice, but like I said, that'd be the important, for, again, in my opinion.
Mr. Chair, may I make another comment?
Um,
And just to keep in mind, because we know how this goes with the so clearly sarcastic written operating agreement, there may be times when OPA thinks there should be fee sharing and it's a new business not covered by the operating agreement and the operator disagrees with us, so. That's never.
all right, move on to the, port account.
So I believe we received a town report today, apologies for not getting out to you, but obviously, we work on bank statements, so, you didn't receive those until this week, so. But you have a report, so we've received, obviously, looking at the, actual credit report for November, we received the first form of payment, so that's the 80,000. We also we received 400 bug rate management fees, but we also received the miscellaneous income, which is reimbursement for the legal fees for the, ditches by the near.
Oh, the easements.
Easement.
Okay.
What
Right.
drainage.
They were.
Ditches.
Yeah.
Drainage easement, so that's the reimbursement for that, we bill them and they pay for that, so that's what that is, it's telling us this for your information. So, yeah, we, normal activity, you know, we've had a lot of activity starting Europe. So you see, and on page 2 is about the account, so it's, again, before the back in there, so that's a little bit helpful about. That's all I have. I think we are on over here last time, so but obviously the auditors were here in November, so they've come, they've gone, they've done their work here locally. And you see from that in February. Remember the next step, once we have the draft plan, we will prepare a manual discussion about here and far keys you really want. So I usually run that 40, but obviously you can run that to Thomas. And they want to put it in there, then happens to permanent part of an audit board. Like I said, we'll be doing that I'm in probably maybe January to do what's called a manual discussion and analysis that goes over the permanent audit. That's it. Thank you. How much?
Any questions? Move on to the port operator report.
Good evening. So we had some stuff slip, backwards and forwards, so we had a bit this month. All right. Graph up here. We did have food business, so I wanted to highlight that. As y'all are probably aware, we used to do LV exports, on a regular basis. That business fell off for a number of reasons. We don't have to get into why. Sort of outside of OPA or relay, but it appears to be back. I don't want to get overly excited about it, but you know, after a 4 or 5 month hiatus, we're back. The party we're dealing with is a reputable trading company. They've been around for 75 years, so it seems like we've shed the bad actors, and the first ship went really well. And props to Travis and the team. They could not be more thrilled. They brought a team of 3 people down here and they would report every morning at 8 o'clock to watch ship. So they walk away with smiles on their faces. So all good there. It's just, you know, the SCA tonnage was off. It should rebound back next month. We did not get a Surger vessel, nor did we get a Yucatex vessel. So kind of you know, we're hoping we should rebound it this month. Containers were off a little bit. That's to be expected this time of year. Is, a little less, activity in Bermuda. But overall, we're feeling pretty good. We're quoting, some pool salt business that I feel pretty good about. I'm actually, on a day trip to, South Florida tomorrow to talk to one of the major, Brazilian pulp manufacturers. So, fingers crossed, that'd be a big one for us. That would get us because right now we bring in pulp from Sweden, but we don't bring in any from Brazil. And Brazil is steadily rising in the mix. And so that's been a real focal point of mine, is that I really want to go after Brazilian pulp. But some of these Brazilian pulp accounts are so big that we literally couldn't handle it unless we built some massive warehouses. This one seems to be right there, in that sweet spot. And so hopefully I'm meeting Virginia. She's already down there. I'm meeting her down there tomorrow. So we're going to do our final pitch, and hopefully, they say that they put tons in the budget for Fernandina, but I'm going down there to try to bring it on home. So, um, you know, disappointed with the November, but, I think we're going to bounce back this month. Any questions?
That bamboo, pulp, eucalyptus,
Eucalyptus.
eucalyptus.
Yes, sir.
And, also on here, do we have facility for any, uh, maintenance or issues?
Let's see. You got anything, Travis?
Heard the initial list, both commissioners, everything has been updated. The crane has been dismantled completely. Obviously, if the one here knows what that is done. Maintenance, as far as anything else other than machinery, the machine in question that we've all talked about, it has been repaired and working as of today with no issues whatsoever. Another piece of equipment we're about to put a new transmission in. But other than the main list that we've talked about over the months, all that is up to date plus some. All the way up to lighting on the warehouse, replacing the photocells and the timers on those. Siding's complete, everything. I mean, that's something we talked about several times, but maintenance wise, everything is up to date, so to speak. If you have any questions that you have concerns with.
I just want to say something on your behalf of the meeting that you and I had just a few days ago, actually in the last week. Concerning the staffing.
Yes, sir.
I did meet with the residents of the area there and explain situation to them. And carried your commitment to taking care of the issue, and I want to tell you publicly that I appreciate you doing exactly what you said you would do. It goes a long way with transparency and the residents believing in what's going on. So I want to tell you, I appreciate that. And what you've done, is exactly what you told me.
Thank you. We had to drop back on it, to be completely honest with you. We had another machine that was down, so we pulled the turbo off of that to make it work. But I mean, we are where we're supposed to be at this moment right now. So thank you for that. But yes, so team up.
Wanted to add, we've got 4 new forklifts.
Yes, sir.
There, we got a fifth one that just got here. I've been invoiced for it yet. And if you're wondering what a customized forklift costs for, it's about $94,000 for one. So, but we got 3 more coming, and
After the first of the year, more like I'm thinking into January, 1st of February.
okay. And then, I sent an email out through Rosanna, but I've been hammering these eyes on the fender replacement because I know how important it is to comply with FDOT and stay in the good graces. They have confirmed shipping date, so all the materials are in transit. We should have everything on the ground 1st of February. And as soon as we get the berth open, they got about a 1 week construction. So like, we should be fine, to get it all done within the grant window. So just wanted to put your minds at ease there. There's me, I think that's all for me. Anything else?
Not to the next one, but I understand specific to you.
the forklift to be the generalized place to call it salesman. That was actually the question right here. That you're going through.
Forklifts? Yeah, so there'll be a phased approach. So what you do is you kind of take out the weakest members of the pack, you'll scrap, and then just do a constant replacement model. That's what we're doing. Okay.
They are LP machines, so it's environmentally they're better. I mean, most of our fleet is, but I mean, they are good, it's a much better machine than what we've had running, so they'll be beneficial in many ways.
I'm curious about the LP. How does that differ for maintenance and like noise and burden? Does it have more power?
So we're running off I want to say the 20-gallon tanks, and if you're running them hard, just from my past experience, I don't see it as bad here. From past experience working in warehouses, day to day, you're getting about 3.5 hours out of the tank. That's not necessarily a question, but as far as power, it's no different. It's just you don't have the combustible exhaust moving through. I mean, it's a little bit different. I've done my work on it a little bit, not very much, but it's just better than diesel machines. I mean, it is the power.
Closed environment.
Yeah, yeah. The powers, they're strong, so it's it.
I don't think you have a carbon footprint with LP that you do with the diesel. It's much cleaner, your maintenance is a little bit light on, so there are all benefits to it.
I mean, we still have to go through either every morning or every evening, but then basically, what time we finish the operation, whether we do it day or night, we still have to roll out and everything. Small contents out of there for the pole, so, but I mean, just maintaining them, they're much better machines, it'll reduce, costs for maintenance. So I mean, it's a benefit in many ways.
Do you have to add fuel storage for LP? Do you have to add fuel storage?
We have other tanks there, we're fine, it's fine.
There's the reason I asked, there's a meeting for the North Florida People's Coalition on Friday morning in Jacksonville. It's specifically focused on alternative fuel sources like LP. And it's Friday morning. I'm trying to gather as many County Engineering, perhaps school board for the county. But how many vehicles are gonna be LP?
Gosh, we can probably pull that tomorrow morning. How many of our, I mean, probably at least 12, right?
Absolutely, I mean,
Did you count them? Okay.
I mean, we run pretty much all LP on our small, I say small, like 12K and under.
I mean, most of our biggest diesel machines are the container. Everything else, but 90% of it is all LP machines.
Are they gonna be quieter than what you currently do?
These forklifts, I mean, they're not gonna be heard from outside. They're running.
They're modern Caterpillar, so they're gonna, yeah.
They're gonna be quiet.
From my standpoint in the industry, Caterpillar is top notch. I mean, it's a fine.
Okay. Anything else?
Any questions?
The incident, the fire, is there any additional findings on fire? Was it just?
So, to give you a quick rundown of it, honestly, the company that was taking the crane down did a pressure washing job. I possibly did not do my due diligence and checking to see how. And that was, there was residue left in the catch pan underneath the turntable itself. And quick flame went up, but it was out with a couple buckets of water. We had already had fire department deployed. I didn't want to stop that. They came and dumped 1,250 gallons on it, going back from Riverside in, so it's going this way. And she and I both went and looked at it after the fact. But it was to answer your question, it was residue left over. I did not do my due diligence to make sure that it was clean, spotless. And like I said, quick flame went out fast. There was no damage, anything else, which was a major concern of mine. I was actually in the dock at some resolved vessel when it happened and went running down there. And by the time I hobbled down there, I should say, it was basically out, still brought the fire, just to make sure. And again, the chief was there, he was on site, and I checked the river, everything. There was no residual dump off or anything like that.
So who will reimburse the fire marshal, the fire department for the
So Solomon is the name of the company that was taking it down. That crane is actually under their ownership. So anything coming back from the fire department, which I'll talk to the chief, I have to come back here and get that report. And anything that comes from that will be pushed back to Solomon.
Did they use any foam on that?
No, sir.
Then there shouldn't be any charge on that.
There was 2 trucks of work. They had one hooked to their truck, and they pushed it and tie into our main hub.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 12, old business, fabric warehouse survey permits operate.
Okay, that's
So, to see that.
the Barstool. Man.
I apologize that I did not get this to you. This is outdated as of 45 minutes ago, and I'll explain why, but I just want to show you what I've been going through, and if you want to just pass it on, it's a picture of, all it is a picture of where we proposed to put the buildings. I had to get, after going to the TRC meeting at City Hall and found out what we had to do to get things done, I had to get someone out here, company out here as quick as possible, and we ended up getting Radar Hawk to actually label the utilities, exactly what they were, water, electricity, storm drains. So we got this from him, but what I needed to do to get Big Top to the permits was get us measurements from the main vaults, of what they call them, from the measurement from the vault to the buildings. That I just received that today, so now we have to turn around and as I was sitting in the parking lot, I received that, and we have to turn around and get that to Big Top. Big Top goes from there, and that's where the permitting starts.
Yeah, because they got to sub out the fire suppression, which is the big question mark right now. So we can't just show up to the TRC meeting and say, here's a full drawing, like it has all engineered out. And so, and those meetings are the first and second, fourth Thursday. So if we're gonna hustle to see if we can get on the 18th, assuming they're gonna have that. So we'll hustle and see if we can get on that one.
And I will tell the board, I take complete ownership of the delay in it. I mean, I'm treading new waters here, and I was trying to get it done, and I may have had a couple of hiccups myself. We're moving forward now. I know it's delayed from what we've been trying to get done, but we are moving forward. I want the board to know.
And this is a sorry to interrupt you. This is a great asset because the utilities weren't really that before, which is kind of crazy, but no doubt now we're going to have an at-scale drawing that shows exactly where all of our active utilities are, which would be it's a good thing to have for general files, I think.
I do want to say that one of the delays was merging the 2 maps digitally, where we proposed to put the buildings and have his utilities drawn up here. So we had to get that done too. So what you're looking at right now, it's not probably exactly to scale, but the next map that I just received is, and it had utilities drawn around it too, with the dimensions from the vaults of the water and the electric to the distance of the buildings. I have not asked for that. I have not.
So, yeah, remember that will be forward from the biggest weekend, but every time we have a king tide, when we have flooding, those lines, really every, inch of elevation at the port makes such a difference just to remember flooding.
I wonder if we can pull in at them, or they didn't do elevation search through there, did that?
I will call Douglas first thing in the morning.
Okay, let's do that. Let's see if we can merge all this
Yeah.
together. We may be able to come up with something that.
I will jump on that first thing. I take that back. It won't be first thing in the morning in the point of the first. But other than that, I want to go.
Before you sit, if I may, Chairman, bring up one more point, because I don't think it's on the agenda, because we just received it back. We did some horse trading, so there's a dredging operation going on. So we said, all right, guys, we'll help you out with some ancillary tasks if you go and survey the berth for us. So we had the survey done. Unfortunately, we got some pretty bad shoal. And for whatever reason, our local pilots have gotten pretty, I don't know what the word is, very conservative.
as normal.
So I was on the phone with Travis and the pilots this morning. I think there's some negotiation to be had, but they're calling the South berth 33 feet. So it's something I think we should put on the agenda for the next meeting because we need to come up with an action plan. Now, the North berth would fall, I think, fall. And, realistically, 33 is enough for 80% of our customers. But it is a little concerning that advertised at 38. So I do think we need to take it seriously, put it on the agenda for the next meeting, you know, talk about the possibilities. And I would appreciate all y'all's expertise and history in dealing with this.
That's normal. We had a maintenance correction about 4 years ago where they came through there and cleaned it out. And in fact, John Solomon was one of the guys that was working
Okay.
on it, to get us back down. But if you notice that the river, when it comes out of the southwest, that water, when it's going out high, is rushing right to that south. And that's where your shoals comes from. Once it hits that, it bounces off, runs down the face of the top.
Yeah.
But about every 4 years, you can expect that's going to show up down there. You're gonna have to look into it. What I will do is tomorrow, I'll give Bubba Corbett with the Army Corps of Engineers a call. I know the last time we had to get John Rutherford involved in it, and he got us the money to get that cleaned out.
Okay.
But let me start with the Army Corps of Engineers tomorrow. I will talk to them, see what they would advise on that, and then when we get to next month, I'll have some information where we can have something at least to start.
Okay.
But like you say, 33 feet down there, I worked with it for a couple of years. We got it cleaned out, so it can be done. But I know how the policies. Okay. I understand that. I'll get back with you, and then if you can pass along to the
Sure. I mean,
but I'll let you know what.
okay, thank you. And again, I'm the only thing new around here, so I haven't had time to review them. I had Phil pull the permits for the last dredging. And I don't know how to approach this because it's under open permits, the last one was. So I will be leaning on you the entire board entirely to help me, maybe possibly push me through this, because this is new environment.
I'll work with you and, we can get on a conference call with Mr. Corbett and he'll help us.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, moving on to AOM contract with the new. I'll address the court attorney on that for the specifics, but I think we should be all clear on that, correct?
Absolutely, ready to go. If you all have seen terms, I sent it to all of you, so.
For point of clarification,
Yep.
the administrator.
It is. So if I could highlight what we left off with, which is basically severance package. If Rosanna is terminated, if Opal wishes to terminate Rosanna without cause for whatever, don't need a reason, then it says that Opal will give her 14 days notice, 14 calendar days notice and prior meetings. But for some reason, if OPA does not want to do that, and so if she's terminated without cause, she gets 1 month worth of severance, which is 140 hours of pay. She works 35 hours a week, so 140 hours, which is about $4,000. She would get that regardless of if you give her notice or not. If OPA does not wish to give the 14-day notice, then you would have to pay her for those for another 70 hours of pay, which is approximately $2,000. And also Rosanna has to give OPA 2 weeks notice if she wishes to.
Any further discussion? We'll have a motion to accept.
Make a motion that we accept the contract proposal and is written.
Have a second,
Second.
all in favor? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to C, RFPO Security Services proposed. Open it up for discussion.
May I just sort of frame what we're doing here too, for those that are attending and how the process works?
Please.
So what's required with, and this was a competitive solicitation or a bid process that was done. If we were using federal funds, it would have complied with federal funding rules also. So we did this the right way. The bids came in, we got 11 total that met the criteria, so we didn't throw any of those out. And so out of the 11 bids, we asked, Rosanna and I asked for the operator and the OPA to individual OPA members to evaluate, to provide an original evaluation. It's my understanding that Rosanna received some, but not all 5, and that's okay. If some commissioners did not do evaluations, as long as we have, I think we have 3 that you received.
I have 2, 3, 5.
So that's more than a majority of those of you that looked at this. And so what you want to do is anything that you did with regard to the evaluation in writing, including any notes that you have, you would want to give those to Rosanna because they become public records once you make the decision. And you want to put your name on those notes too, so she has those for the record. If you did not, then there is no public record to turn in. And so from here, I think, Mr. Chair, that you would just ask each of the individuals to discuss if they have an idea of who they have as their top choice, or if we don't have one top choice and we have 2 or 3. But I think we have to just kind of have some open discussion first before you decide that.
Okay. Do we have any discussion for any issues?
You just like to, briefly talk about my evaluations. As you can see that, even though I selected something that's not the top choice, at least the person that, or the company that garnered the most points, you can see that, it's gonna, all over the place. The cost proposals for some better than others. When you start looking at the non-cost things, approach and methodology, staffing levels and backup plans, experience and qualification. You see the same variation, but overall, when I looked at all the criteria across all the different applicants and what they submitted, important to note that they were given the opportunity to submit. The RFP was clear about what we wanted, and they submitted what they felt and was criteria. A little better than others, and the scores reflect that. But my top choice by 1 point was Allied, the submission from Allied, followed by Securitas and Wiser, and actually Gibbons at 93.
Anybody else?
It's say my top choice was Allied.
That leads me into my decision. When this came about, I was the only commissioner that voted against putting this out for bid, and I'll tell you why I didn't. Because for the last probably 13, 14 years, I've worked with Allied, and actually almost 12 of those years was as the terminal manager in FSO. And I learned a long time ago that when you go into a bid process, it's not always about the money. It's about the quality of service that you get and what you pay for. And my reasoning for not participating, other than turning in an evaluation, saying I would explain it in the meeting, is this. During the pandemic, when most people wouldn't even show up for work, did not have one problem with one security officer not showing up. As difficult as it was, because there was a shortage. But those folks with Allied doubled up and they made sure it happened. And I learned a long time ago that when people are loyal to the company that they're servicing, that's an additional run on the ladder that they climb. So I'm going to sit here tonight and tell you that by far, mine is a personal experience with Allied. Have there been some bumps in the road? Sure, but there hasn't been anything on a catastrophic level. I've shared with this committee several times that I was addressed by the CBP court director that told me that he had never worked with a more professional group of people. And when you have a customs director that will stand by and tell you that, and then back it up, that's another run. You can buy that. And as I look how close and I hear the evaluation, I'm the only person in this room that's worked with those folks. And I saw the sacrifice. And to me, I would say it every day. You can't buy and sell it. If those folks are not dedicated, you're wasting your time. I know for a fact you're dedicated. I've had people tell me, and I saw it for myself. I've been there and worked right alongside them. So, as a commissioner representing the people of this county, my decision, if a vote is taken tonight, will be for Allied. Any other commissioner?
I'm gonna let the bidders make.
Yeah, I want to give everybody an opportunity because last meeting, Allied had a chance to speak. So yes, they will be whoever's here representing the bidding groups will be able to speak. Yes. So at this time, if there's no other commission comments, I will open it up for um, the companies that are here tonight. If you want to come to the podium and give us your name, who you're with, we'll be more than happy to entertain your comments tonight. Come right on up. Feel free to come right on.
Thank you. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. My name is Tom Greniak, Operations Manager for Identity Security. I have with me today Robert Dillard. He's one of our account managers here in Nassau County, works over at Ryan. Behind me is David Dininger. He's our account manager and also in charge of the Nassau County beaches. So these are some of the things that we do for Nassau County. We are a local business. Our owner is a Nassau County resident. So we're very local. Our office is out of Jacksonville. We have many accounts throughout the state of Florida. One of our accounts lately was Fincantieri, which is a repair service for naval vessels out of Jacksonville. So we're used to working in the port, things of that nature. Just want to make sure that's new. And I think that's it. Thank you for your time, and hope you have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else that would like to address come on?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matthew Jones. I'm the managing director for Wiser Security Services of the Jacksonville branch. Just to give you a little idea about Wiser, we've been in business for 55 years. We're based out of have 6 branches in the state of Florida. We do have, port experience in Tampa as well as, at Port Canaveral as well. At least 15 years in you've been in Port Canaveral. But yeah, I appreciate everybody's time and, it's nice to meet you. Thank you.
So, thank you. Any further discussion?
Yeah, for sure, I'm going to get and the following commission. Allied gives the Walzer and also the security also. Quality compared to, at least in my observation, compared to the other submissions, were far away the most comprehensive and the most informative. You know, it came down to a really close call. Yeah, from all board.
Do I get a?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, I too am happy with Allied, but when you look at, you know, it's no secret, we pay for it, right? And so we, Travis, myself, other staff members, we took a long time and ran through all the proposals. We took this very seriously. There's one out here that meets our criteria, but is a significant savings. You know, our financials, are transparent. So this sort of savings is a big deal for us. Um, you know, I think apples to apples, Wiser and Allied are my top choices. Wiser, they present a significant value for us. And I don't think that should be overlooked. Um, I don't know how this works, if there is like a negotiation with these, or if it's like, that's it, and what you submit to this board is it. I don't know how this works, right?
So,
Please.
so there's not really a script for how they work. With this type of service, when you're dealing with, for example, engineers and things like that, there's strict rules for negotiating. But if for some reason OPA decides that you don't want to decide on one tonight, that you want to contract with, and you want to choose a top two, for example, or a top three, you can make that decision tonight in a vote, list those firms, and then direct either the operator or me or well, you can do a commissioner, it's got to be the operator or me to negotiate. I guess price is, we're talking all price here, right? Is to negotiate those things. I'm not sure because I haven't had a chance to talk to Ted what he needs exactly. There is a lot wrapped into it. It's not just an hourly fee. And so, however, whatever the pleasure of the board is it can happen either way, but it is up to the board how that
Yeah.
happens.
Well, we just pulled the average hours and then just put everything on the table and then made a formula out that shows annual impact. And I'm looking to save every dollar I can without sacrificing quality, of course. And that's why, if I see somebody ranked towards the top of my choices and presents a significant value, like that's a big deal for myself and Travis.
Chairman, so I struggle with these submissions because not everyone presented their fees, like the fees were presented in all different formats. And the wiser proposal does say that they pay time off and overtime and holidays. They could list that as a benefit to their employees, but they don't include that. They only quote us the hourly rate. And so I don't believe that the hourly rate accurately reflects total fees. When I was comparing the cost for the vehicles, I think the vehicle is probably something we should consider if you're open to it, carving that out and perhaps negotiating the vehicle cost, because there is a big delta and that's something that's like objectively pretty much the same, right? Like, what do you need? It's a golf cart or the truck. Like, that's something that we can figure out how to negotiate down or perhaps insource it or figure out a different way of pricing that component, that's very easy to, in my view, to carve out. But when it comes to like PTO and coverage for overtime and like flex time, if they have language like that in the proposal, I think they need to provide a weekly budget of costs. Because some, and I know Allo did say like monthly, this is what we are going to cost. Weekly, this is what we are going to cost. Like, that's very transparent because we're saying like all in with all benefits, as opposed to here's an hourly rate, but then fine print, you also pay PTO and all of that stuff overtime. Because that can add up. Double time is going to add up. But I haven't really commented because, frankly, I think we should have put some more guardrails, and that's on us in the way we structured the RFP. Some of the proposals have been written with AI, and it just, not to be like humorous about people's livelihoods, but going up against AI is like going up against competition on drugs. Like I need AI to read the AI. There's 80 pages presented to the board. If you didn't have the energy for a human being to write it, I guarantee you, we don't have human eyes to read it. So that was just a comment, personal pain while reading these responses, that some of them were not arguments. And I think we all know that in reading, because I couldn't get past 5 pages. But we need to put guardrails on our RFPs that we get a summary and we get a clear statement of rates in the same format, because rates would be objectively verifiable across all the bidders, right? We share the metric with them, advance whatever our rubric is for rating them, and have those components called out in the executive summary so that when we're reviewing, we can very clearly identify what page we can find that information out of the 80 something pages that have been submitted. Also, I don't want to see pictures taken from security cameras from your clients where you can see people's faces, you can see, crime scenes. I don't need to see that. This is public records now. So I prefer not to see footage, because that tells me that you would take my footage from the Port of Fernandina and you would incorporate that in your work. So these were all thoughts went through my mind. But I didn't rank all of the bidders because I didn't feel like I had the heart to write a whole picture sufficient to rank them fairly. So I just regretted doing that. But I did try to share my analysis that was objective, which was reading their summarizing their pricing. But I'm happy with allies, the things that the subjective, the soft factors for me with allied is similar to Sharon Nelson. It's that when you go to the court, you know who you're dealing with. Folks recognize you by name. They will call or text if there's an emergency. There's a direct line to the board. And I always felt that we had a very professional, diligent team. There have been some issues recently that I think everyone is aware of, and those were dealt with. But I think it's good to put this out to bid periodically, not as a negative against our current provider, but even just to validate that they are at market, and that we do have best for the public, because we are spending public dollars. But I would really want to see a big value.
Actually, our dollars. So.
Well, yes, but it's coming out of the revenue report. So
Sure.
I mean, that's the whole reason for our oversight, is that you collect tariffs from the public court, and then you spend those proceeds from those revenues.
Correct.
Mr. Mayor, I know you're seeing things now that you probably weren't advised of when you got here, but with security, dealing with the last management regime, there was a strong need for the new golf club, because at that time you had protection, had these cargo ships that were just one right behind the other. And the security officers couldn't walk from one end to the terminal to the other without a delay, which backed up traffic, which caused stevedore problems. So it was taken to the management at that time, and they said, yes, absolutely, we want it. Okay, you have to come in and deal with the cost of it. So I'm not comfortable penalizing Allied because they've done exactly what they were asked to do. So as the recommendation is, you know, maybe that's something that you need to look at, and we need to go back to them if you don't see a need for it. But I will caution you, as soon as you do, you're gonna have trucks all throughout the neighborhood. You're gonna have blockades out on the main street.
I'm not saying we're getting rid of the car,
Just saying, cost here.
right? But I mean, let's just talk about their vehicle cost is twice what some of the other bidders are.
My point exactly.
Mhm.
When the cost came up, it was presented to the management of the operator.
Mhm.
And they said, we accept them, let's get it done.
Absolutely.
When you're coming in and saying, wait a minute, that's over tilting my wheelbarrow. And I need to work this out. That's a possibility. I don't know what the stipulations are on the golf cart. We can look into that.
Mhm.
But if you're looking to cut costs, that would be one thing. I would not cut service.
And I'm not proposing to cut service in this.
Station at the meeting, I asked him, was it strictly a dollar issue?
This is not a witch hunt against Allied. I'm telling you, it's not.
Had a couple of meetings together and said, correct. But saying now, if that is a sticking point, I would highly suggest that you look at whether you want to maintain that or you don't want to maintain.
Right. I would say the car's a small part of the proposed cost saving with another firm. I mean, the hourly cost is where, that's the bread and butter of this whole thing. But to Commissioner Hill's point, maybe there are some landmines. I don't know. I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, I saw another firm that had a significant, I mean, $38,000 a year cost savings would be welcome. But, it's OPA's decision. All I can do is give my opinion.
Question to the board attorney. For us to defer at this time to the next meeting in order to give myself and the operator a chance to look at the savings for the golf cart. If we can do something with that. I mean, I'm for that, but I'm gonna be very transparent with everybody. And I said it at the onset of the conversation. Allied has always been there for the port, no matter what or how difficult it was. They've always been upfront and transparent with the federal agencies that come there. I've been there, I've watched them. They're very professional when they deal with those folks. So
I would agree.
it keeps going, the runs keep extending. And that's my concern. Because if there's a problem there, it's not a little, it's a big problem.
So in order to defer this decision, I mean, we've done it where you just don't take any action at all, or you can have vote to have this on the agenda for the first meeting in January.
Was there a consensus among the top three?
That's fine. Is there a consensus? I don't know because I did not take the scores and tabulate them.
So I think you and through it looked like Allied was definitely the three. Securitas may have been,
Yeah, ours was Securitas, Wiser, and Allied.
Walking through this, okay, right, I'm not getting out of bounds here from a contract process. It would be possible to select
our top three, and that's direct you to negotiate with each of those. Back to the board about budget associations,
Yes.
resolve it.
I'll need some parameters for negotiation, some details, but yes.
Okay.
Yes, you could.
Right.
I just wanted to, I don't know, because I didn't do my own independent evaluation. I'd probably talk with Ted and look at his spreadsheet and try to figure out, I know that Commissioner Nelson wants to get with him because except for Commissioner Hill's comments, I didn't hear any of the other commissioners saying that there was a problem understanding, not understanding Commissioner Hill, but putting together the numbers and comparing apples to apples, so to speak. So I would need to.
Commissioner Hill does bring up good points, so I would say that.
Yeah, so if you wish, just to cut to the chase, if any commissioner has a top three, then, because I've been through this so many times with it, the best thing to do is if you have a top three, just make a motion, your top three, and see if you get a second. If your intent is not to have, your intent is not to have one decided on tonight and not to defer it, but to at least reduce the field of contenders.
I think we should take into account the bidders that have come to me, and I think that does bear some weight. Some folks have already calculated. But it really doesn't make a difference, folks maybe try to show up, represent company issues.
So we have three firms here tonight, is that right? Three firms, Giddens, Weisner, Allen.
Yeah. Yeah, I outlined these representatives here.
Yes, sir.
No, by all means.
I'm Shelley, I'm with Allied, I'm the client manager, for the Ocean Board. Speak off of what Daryl said, and I don't know if that's helping on. We're just invested in the board as you all in-house. And if price, we can talk about price, that's negotiable. But we just want to keep your business, and keep our long-term relationship going, so we're willing to negotiate the price. We don't want that to be the reason we lose business with you guys. You mean a lot to us. And I appreciate all the time things that you say, because that wasn't tough. I was at J&J for the COVID. That was rough for the security team, so your words mean a lot. Okay, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I make a motion that, we direct the attorney in negotiations with, Allied, Gibbons, and Wyman. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And you'll report back to us.
And that's good progress, very good progress with 11 bidders.
Just put something on my schedule, we can talk.
Well, moving on to that, before I do move on, I want to say, I know that there's some officers in the gala tonight that want to be going on shift tonight. So it's okay if you need to get up and leave. I appreciate your attending this meeting. You've always been supportive, so we're gonna honor you tonight and allow you so you can get out of here and whatever you need to do to get ready for you.
Let's come, let's.
All right, moving on. Dean? Yes.
So just to clarify where we stand with our meeting, we are gonna from the silence thing, since like.
Yes.
We should not talk to.
Correct.
Security folks.
Yes,
Whether it's our current.
absolutely not.
Just clarify what that means.
For sure, code of silence is, it's also called an anti-lobbying provision in some contracts. And so what it means is that between the time that the bid goes out until this board makes a decision, you're not to have any conversations with the contractor regarding their proposals or their bids.
That specifically doesn't include the operational side of it.
Oh, right, yeah, if you wanted to talk about the fire or visiting there, no, you just don't talk about the proposal. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to D, the RFP on the website, ADA, compliance. I know we've had multiple conversations about this. We need to go ahead and move this forward so that we can get it out and start getting some information on this and get this moving toward completion. Is there any discussion that we need to have on this before we motion for this to be moved forward?
Just to keep in mind, like it's $8,000 that's budgeted for this pier for the year, so.
We could list. We don't list.
I'm sorry.
We don't list now. Do we want to know?
No.
You can go tax.
Yeah. Go on, Eddie.
I don't know, I'm afraid though that this is gonna be ten.
Get those numbers to. And then.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right. Moving on to C, compliance with section, Florida Statute Special District, FSTED and FDOT. I think that that's already been sent. Travis, you updated everything on that?
For the most part. Our team together, myself and Mary, were on a lot of it. I got a lot of, good direction from Ted. Obviously, Ms. Rosanna and Commissioner had to submit, so we got all the information in, and I believe Rosanna got it all submitted on the Sunday before.
Very good. Appreciate everybody that had a hand in. We need to stay on top.
That's a huge project. It's a huge project.
And that is that an ongoing update, or is that a yearly update, or how do you?
Well, for the cracking portal, it had to be in for, I mean, everything had to be submitted for Monday morning.
Right.
So,
Right. And
It's an annual.
so moving forward.
Yes.
So now we know it'll be a work in progress.
We have a reminder about
So go
6 months out.
It's a good idea.
Revisit this and make sure that we're
Yeah.
moving forward for next year's submission.
And FDOT will email me. Mhm.
So was it who at managed that spreadsheet or was it Ports Council?
It was FDOT, with Laura Rand. We met, I remember, Kyle Clark and I met with Lauren Rand and went over the spreadsheets and the questionnaire.
So it was between Kyle, Lauren.
And myself, FDOT team. I think that's about it.
Yeah, it's just interesting that they pushed it like to all the ports across the state to now self-perform that entry.
There's just a little side, but big changes in the relationship between Fort Council and Hempstead. The administrative relationship that they've had has been settled. Across the board, not just because we backed it, but Hempstead decided at the level to come in. So a number of things that FPC is doing for Hempstead are now being pushed down directly to the ports. So a lot of the information that we're providing to the FPC, and they were in turn consolidating and then inputting to Hempstead are now being driven directly down to the ports.
Weren't they taking a cut of grants?
Yeah, Yeah. Yes.
That's a good thing,
Yeah.
right?
Administrative.
But does now buying the Kraken software from HMTV. And I don't know how much that is. But I mean, you probably can quantify the cost to you for the time to administer it on your own. So, I'm sure that's would be a savings or not. Hopefully, as we move forward, it's easier than Spurgeon. I'm just curious what they're going to do with the information and how it will be analyzed and who will have access to it, because there's a lot of competitive information as between the ports that do compete. I mean, we aren't allowed to collude. We're specifically prohibited from colluding, you know, in the way we manage our business, right? So I'm just curious, like, who will have access to all of that information? Now that it's at FDOT, is it public information? Is it how, you know, how will we be managing? Any questions?
I don't think those are questions that are, especially the last PC call. But I participated in, there's a lot of things changing. They're building up and seeing downsizing and downsizing their staff, and replacing people. So there's a lot of change and churn of the FPC was when it's going to do.
All right, any further discussion? All right, move on to F, OHPA property appraiser. I'll let Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chair. Thank you. So prior to our meeting this month, last meeting earlier, I asked Rosanna to put the appraisal, to put the appraisal of this item on the agenda. And I know we had a little bit of discussion as to kind of the thoughts, direction that we would want to go. You see, just looking at the value sales scenario, it's anywhere between 765,000 to 960,000. The lease scenario, 46,000 to 157,000. I'm speaking with Karen. They are not interested in these long-term lease agreement. And they understand why, and they trust with that. They understand their need opposition. They have some property that they're looking at maybe doing a release on. They understand holding on to assets, not wanting to give up assets. But they're looking at it from a different standpoint. They're really looking from the taxpayers, and these are tax dollars that they're going to be working with. They're going to be investing into the with infrastructure. And so if we run with a 30-year lease at say 50,000 a year, so we generate $1.5 million. But the next OPA board go to them and say, hey, you lease off property, and they put it on the signature. And it's from a taxpayer standpoint, I understand their position. I mean, over 30 years, they $1.5 million, or they pay half that, and they expire. So I get it. I'm understanding. I wanted to share that with you all. It's for me. It's we talked about with the recent land that we've looked at selling, that we then decided not to sell. And that was for residential. It's going to be for residential use, residential development. This is something where I go back and forth because I don't want to give up, and at the same time, there's a public benefit. For Slavey, I think it's a great opportunity to have this station marine unit right near your airport. Again, I said I'm bring this up, and if the board decides, okay, let's look at the option of selling it to the county, then they would then still that process, take to the board and move forward that way. If not, management saving and it would.
So they're not at all considering a land lease at acreage. So in my view, I don't think it's worth it for OPA to engage our broker to do an analysis, because I don't think, I'm not in favor of selling the land, and considering that they are not open at any price, that tells me that they've already decided. So even if we were to do an analysis and come up with a lower price, it wouldn't make a difference. So I don't think we should expend resources to pursue it further.
Any other discussion? No. At this point, I guess they will, they going to respond to anything? Are they looking for a response from us?
Yeah, I'll talk in the morning, give them, just let them know kind of where you are. That's what left. If we want to sell it, then, they'll certainly start that process. If not, then, no is. But I want to be very clear. We wanted to make sure that I told, our board that they understand, they get it. They know what we're trying to do. They understand, the benefit there. But, they're looking at it from a different vantage. And I understand. So, I do appreciate, us entertaining the idea, and, wish it would have gone a different direction, but again, I get it. And I certainly appreciate the county willingness to discuss it and over the last few weeks.
I wanted to raise a different point about the need for fire safety support for the port. Do we have an update on the legislation for, I guess, probably the bills to file session yet, but is there any sense is this like fire safety legislation? Has anybody else heard any updates? I haven't seen anything come through. At the TPO board meeting, our chair of the TPO board suggested that we enter into an MOU with Jacksonville for support, because Jacksonville does have lots of fire roads. And so if we had an incident, like they would be willing to enter into the understanding with the Port of Fernandina to respond. So it's like unlikely that we would both have an incident at the same time. But that would help to cover the Port of Fernandina if there was something that they needed to respond to, and figure out the logistics of how long the responses would take, and how long does it take for a boat to get here? Like, is that even feasible? But they have some was instead of having site.
Some of their boats are pretty good sized, and I think they would have a problem with the trestle at 1,800 and a water depth of draft. I think they would have to go to get here, go out and get them come up, which is hours. So we can look into it. I would suggest that if we're going to do that, we start with a community beach. Maybe we can talk with Justin Kidnall, Jason, and see if he's thought about this. I don't know.
Worth noting. The boat is not just because it may not be, on a good drive. Immediately adjacent to the port, doesn't mean it will be on the water somewhere in Southampton.
Oh, it's not.
Yes. So it would be available, and that would be an expectation that it would respond to, just as any other county resident that lived on the water would have access. We would have access to it. Now, perfect world, having it right next to the port would be awesome. The response would be almost zero. But it will be available.
I mean, in our case, if the port, the need for a piece of equipment like that would be a vessel fire. And we had that plywood catch on fire. I mean, Fernandina and Nassau County worked in such harmony. They had ladder trucks here, they had snorkel trucks out there. I counted the equipment that they had on the dock in the first 20 minutes. It was 18 pieces of equipment that they had out there. They had 6-inch supply lines going to the engines. They flooded that shit. And so I guess my point is, would there really be a need for that? I think this boat that they got is supposed to be a high-speed rescue boat with maybe pumping capacity. I know Jacksonville just got 2 new ones. If we needed it, yeah, they could probably, Nassau or Fernandina could call in. They've done it with structure fires, you know. So,
And you just, so I know came up before, I know we'll pass this, but, they were looking at multiple jurisdictional facilities, so it would be, you know, they would reach out to the sheriff's office, the city, you know, everyone who would have access, I guess it'd be a joint use emergency facility.
good. Anything else on that?
Good idea. Would allow for it to work.
Okay, moving on to G. New public transportation grant agreements, for the Ukraine and the automated gates. We just need to move this forward.
These are just the resolutions, right? We already reviewed the grant agreements, but this is just a resolution just to kind of roll out the record.
Right, the grant agreements will be, right, there's no changes to the
Yeah.
grant agreements. The one agreement, I forget, but one is the 75% with a 25% match. I think that might be the gates.
Yeah, that's the security one. It's relatively small.
Crane is a 50-50.
Let's take the crane.
And we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Put on 13 new business. Do we have any public comments on new business while let's move to A, fiscal 25-26 budget amendment, for TPO assessment fee. I believe that's an additional $100. So you go up from what, 1,516?
And that was budgeted at 1,500 for this year. Right, so the fee's gone up from last year's and we didn't know that.
We have a motion to increase.
Make a motion to increase the budget by $100 to cover the increase in the PPO.
Yes,
PPO.
Second.
and a second.
Sorry, and I'll just say, obviously, at this point, we're running a surplus, so obviously we pull it from somewhere else. At some point, we may need to identify where we're moving that money from, right? So just as a caution as we move forward this year, we talked about, what's too low tide. Right now, the total budget is a surplus of some $3,000, so we have some money we can get without having to identify where else, where it's what we're taking. How specific is this? Sure. Can you keep up to date as you have little things like this where we adjust and add things back into the budget as we get closer to the battle? Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, while we're talking about budget, we had voted to change our salaries or whatever from get away with that 666, and I don't think that came about. I don't think we did it that correct way. Well, we said
Whatever the amounts were that they discussed in terms of their reduction, so that
correct. Okay, look at the notes and whatever that was.
To move away, just Speak from, I understand now, and we're rating or lower, meaning however, we're saying it's change what the view. Why do you want, but we're not calling. Yeah, okay, we're right now.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, we still need to take.
Yeah.
Got to take the vote, and then I have a comment on budget after that, but not before the vote.
I have a question. Who seconded the motion? Sorry. Commissioner Hill. Okay, thank you.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Motion passed. Okay, you have now.
I did. So I cannot remember what it was I was reviewing in the last week or so. It may have been the grant agreements for DOT, may have been something else, but, oh, I think it could have been like the CBP, information we were putting in, some of the documents related to grants, information that OPA is signing off on and sending to the state of Florida. One of the things that was in there that just piqued my interest was it said that OPA will work with the Nassau County Economic Development Board. And I just wanted to remind you all, I don't know to what extent they work with us if we're not, paying our way and our contribution, but it's something to keep in mind that it does come up more than once a year, that we're working with them. They're going to help us because as part of, and you all know this from the change in law, special districts are under a microscope. There's, I guess, a lot in Florida that don't really have much of a purpose. We know our purpose is good and big, but the state wants to have more oversight over local government generally, and special districts is where they've started. And so if we're telling other agencies that we're working with the Nassau County Economic Development Board as if we're partnering and we're not paying our contribution, and I'm not saying we have to or we can afford it, but it's just something to keep in mind.
Where do you say that?
I'm pretty sure it was one of the documents that we submitted to the state or are going to. It may be on the agenda tonight. I read so many grant agreements this past week. I can point it out to you. It doesn't say like in detail. It just says that we're working. Huh? There you go.
You feel that?
Who filled out? Yeah. I just saw the Nassau County Economic Development Board. This is, and I'm not trying to change the tide or ask or suggest a budget amendment, but it's $1,000 annual contribution that we cut out of the budget this year. And I'm just saying it's mentioned and it's nothing that I know that we're not bound by that. It's just, we shouldn't be talking about it. And if we're not going to be working with it.
It's not.
But it was something that was filed. Did your firm file, or what was it?
It's as part of the asking for, it's an appropriation request form. Do I have that right, Davis? Okay, no,
But the second, the second in-house one that's approved, both last year and this year. And it's a non-binding statement. It just says, what is the methodology of how you will attain this information? And it had something to do with new business growth in Nassau County. It's one of the reasons we were asking for this money. Obviously, there's still opportunity to edit that form.
I'm not.
You're smarter than me.
No,
It is very much a
I'm not suggesting-
nondescript part of the
It's not,
appropriation form.
it makes sense.
It's not in the one that's before you tonight. Because
No.
it's in a question that is not, a lot of the questions from the House form and the Senate form are the same. That is not.
This was the one that was last month.
It's in the just towards the end. The script course.
I
Just
just.
one of those boxes will be on the right side.
Yes, this is not, this is something I said. Not where we don't have the appropriation form. So it's not here.
That was last month. This
Oh,
over here.
I didn't understand.
But I would like to comment to that, and I want to go back to, cost cutting we've engaged in across the board. You know, we've looked at salaries, we've looked at every single contract. We have vastly limited our reliance on legal services. Because of our budgetary constraints, and we're in this cycle because we are no longer getting ARPA funds, which were a one-time fee. And when we had the ARPA funds, we spent them on court director, on litigation, and all of our costs swelled, right? But if you look back before that, we got a lot from economic development. Before that time period, we had a court director that was provided by the Economic Development Board, and we had much more meaningful interaction with the Development Board, frankly. And since that time, we get a lot less from all of these different things that we pay into. Board of Courts Council is a great example, where frankly, you know, we heard from many sources that we should have gotten more of those lobbying dollars, the $15,000 that we're paying. We should have gotten more at the Port of Fernandina relative to other ports. And so I think it is good to be disciplined about what are we getting from these relationships. We also have an economic development responsibility to our county, directly to our county. And we should all be engaging at the TPO. Every member of this board has an appointment at another board, whether it's Keep NASA Beautiful, whether it is the TPO, whether it is the Economic Development Board or the Chamber. If we are participating in those organizations, we need to have meaningful information and bring that forward. And I'm just going to say it. I mean, I'm not calling out individual commissioners because everyone's busy, but just showing up and being at the meeting is not sufficient, it's not meaningful. And we get feedback from the TPO that Nassau County is crickets. Okay, and you know what the TPO does? The TPO approves the long-term transportation plan for FDOT. That's what they do. And so people in the county are upset because we don't have thoughtful transportation planning from FDOT. Fault is it? I'm a TPO board member. Okay, the buck stops here. So there's a disconnect in the, you know, in these individual organizations. Look to that individual commissioner who is the representative to that organization and ask, what have we gotten out of your organization lately? What have we done to further economic development lately? Okay, like what have you brought forward as a proposal? The TPO is doing studies in the Port of Fernandina right now. And there's an issue that's been ongoing for 20 years. 20 years, $300,000 they're paying Vanish to do a study on our queuing issue. That's real value. Okay, I mean, that's moving the needle for support, for efficiency, for flow foods. I mean, that's hitting all the right notes. And economic development is simple. I mean, if you look at, I mean, it's complex, but it's also kind of not even, it's common sense. If you look at the Jax USA website and what we get, like dollars and exposure and eyeballs, it's quantified as to how much airtime the Port of Fernandina gets. And we had to go and ask for it. We had to go, I personally am the one who said, you say nothing about us. Okay, so I mean, I do have personal criticism that we do spend a lot of money to put people in seats and to serve with a title. But if you're not going to actually show up to the meeting and make a motion or participate and advocate for our board, for our community, county, or state when it matters, then I don't think that's money well spent. So that's my piece.
Any further comment? Move on. The Open 2026 meeting calendar. I know there was some requests from the operator about Mondays, Thursdays.
It just I mean, beginning, end of the week, just, you know, this is a personal preference and I brought it up and it seemed like there was a consensus to want to move the meeting maybe to the beginning of a week, maybe change venues. I know Commissioner Taylor was leading that, but I don't know where we stand there. Again, it's just like a security thing. Y'all make the decision. I just give my opinion.
So in, Jared,
So looking at the first and third Monday, second one, Thursdays, that's also the availability, we can move the meeting location, to the city chamber. They are open to it, we would not have access to their live streaming, that comes at a high cost currently. But the setup we have now would be sufficient enough, but we would have access. But again, that would be the first and third Mondays or the second and fourth Thursdays. So I would agree. I think, the acoustics here are great for me, just to set up alone, would be better at the city chambers. Caroline Best received an email from her earlier today when if there was the agreement that we needed to, review, look at. She said that she will draft facilities use agreement, we can letter and it goes we sign one, but no, this is not now. It's a matter of, we just say, we're looking at this group or this group, and she'll draft it. But just so we have something in writing, agreement, for the space.
Was there any cost associated with,
Just if we wanted to use their live streaming, and that was $900 a month. I don't think we did that. So, there is an opportunity, going into the next fiscal year, that they're gonna bring it in-house. But again, they just approve the agreement with the vendor using for that. Once it comes in-house, it'll be much more cost efficient, and I don't know what it is, but that's something that can look at.
is there any restriction? Perhaps on the commissioners or those that are down on this facility on Monday?
No, that was one of her suggestions, first Monday, to avoid the city commission's meeting.
But I mean, moving forward, it sounds like, there may be some legwork that still needs to be done, looked at traffic, the film,
Yeah, we just
agreement for us to review, so. But as far as the changing of the day, whether we have the meeting on Monday here, or whether we have it over there, we can still vote on having it the first and third Monday.
Right.
There's no restriction at that.
in that first meeting in January, we can then bring that facility. But that thing work, for us to look at. So,
But we can vote to move to have the meeting the first and third Monday of the month. And then we do it here at that, or over at the Permian Beach City Council.
I'd have to confirm with the PEC Center.
Okay.
Sounds to me like we need to do a look into this.
The public start dates
Exactly.
here.
Right,
So
right.
can I ask you to get with the city since you've already got with, see what we can come up with.
yeah, you don't know the first of our money next month's meeting, January 5th, we'll meet at you on January 19th to review. An agreement, and then we'll meet,
Right.
February 2nd.
Are y'all okay with Mondays? I just asked the question, like, because like for me, if y'all live here, for me, it helps me with just travel. Because like I can both, I can travel for what reason and make this meeting easier than it being right in the middle of the week. But again, that's just a request. I'm not making a demand.
We're gonna have a long Monday and a long Wednesday. So, perfectly fine.
Clark, do you have a preference?
Yes.
So I wrote on there, for the first Monday, the financials and the tonnage reports are done the week after the month's end. So we will probably not get it in the first meeting of the month if we move it to the first and third Monday. Because there'll be a delay.
I mean, I can get you prelim. We can get prelim and then true it up for the next meeting if we needed to. Just
Right,
mean-
we'd have to discuss it in the second
Well, yeah, it won't be in time getting
Yeah.
in the packet.
What meeting
Right.
month that
We discuss the financials and the tonnage. Yeah,
Okay, so then for the Thursday scenario, does that solve it or no? Because we usually have the second week, not the first.
so the skin and fourth Thursday will probably be just the same as the Wednesday, it's just a day later, so.
Right, so I honestly, I think that's like poor function.
And also to, if it's the first and third Mondays, I really have to be strict about deadlines for documents.
I was just
Because-
concerned because you don't work weekends and there's so much activity the days before the meeting, like right up until the point that, you know, be concerned that we end up having to push the, like, all the information is going to come in with prior Friday.
Right. So, but it's up to the board. I just need to publish it and confirm with PAC Center, just in case.
And we're having a lot of their like board group meetings happen in the daytime. So just something to consider.
That's fine.
5:30 would be, I propose 5:30.
I would suggest we wait until Commissioner Taylor comes back with his information on the chambers. And then we can set a parameter there, whether we're gonna do Thursdays, which I think would be more suitable than a Monday. But that's just my opinion. It helped you out, not putting you up against the wall. I think there's enough of that going on that we need to kind of alleviate against that. So if we can just wait till he comes back after he talks to him, get something a little bit more concrete, and then we make our decisions.
So the last message I got from Jasmine was, we can send you the dates, so I'll put them into
Right.
the seminar. Yeah.
So
You can say, I'm just put it on, I'll put it on tomorrow, yeah, and then,
Well,
So-
put something, well, that's it, prior to the January meeting, which is first week. The next meeting.
I think we need to stay with the meeting with our still, which is the second Wednesday.
second and fourth Wednesday.
And then once we get the information, then we can make a schedule change. But that gives us time to publish it and for the board to agree on the change.
And one thing logistics wise, you bring those equipment, so you're schlepping like the computer,
Mhm.
the sound equipment, we're not plugging into their AV, that's $900.
No, I do.
So you would
Carry
still have to carry all this
Well-
equipment.
Well, can we use their microphone?
we can't do. So verification, because I took the streaming service, they come in with cameras, they're doing it online, and that's what's causing, so important. I'm gonna make sure we can use their audio. So.
It's just the microphone and the
It's, you know,
stream.
goodness. So,
Mhm.
and audio. So that's okay. The screen, they're on the screen and things, I know there's some boring. No,
So what would happen with the county is that we could use the dais, we couldn't use any of their equipment. And so we ended up having to carry all the equipment.
Mhm.
We couldn't project anything up on the screen, we couldn't access, we couldn't look things up even on the internet. The screen. So we ended up not having a lot of benefits. So the benefit is the AV sound quality, that's really what we're looking at, then I'm not sure that would be necessarily better if we're still working these and the YouTube.
Well, I would think it would be better because it's a smaller room than this big auditorium.
yeah, you still have to set up and bring down.
Yes. All I have to bring is this and not the microphones or the
But
just the camera.
carrying down the ball,
Mhm.
in that scenario, you'd be putting it in your car and every time.
No, I can't run a computer, that's what the car.
Yes, the camera.
He's saying we can use the mics for free.
Yes. The, there, yeah, correct.
Mhm.
You just can't use your over the air podcast. Right, yes, correct.
Right.
Well, it's something that we did, you're right, was, they're, trying to get an agreement, but doing fluid and writing, but you were making a recommendation, Chairman, I think you,
And it falls through there. We'll wait till you get the information. That we have something definitive. And then we will bring it to the board for a vote, whether we want to go to Wednesday or Thursdays versus the Mondays. Based on the availability of the tenant.
So to be clear,
For the hearing. We need a motion. For putting a schedule in place that covers the first meeting in January. Then we can modify changes to the schedule and the location.
We have to publish the meetings for the record.
Well, yeah.
But we can monitor.
We can monitor it.
So
So I'd like to make a motion that we, for the sake of immediacy, that we publish the schedule for the OPA meetings. To second and fourth, second and last. How do we?
second and fourth Wednesday.
Second and fourth Wednesday of each month at the Exeter.
I'll second.
all right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Both presented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Anything on that? We're gonna move on to item C, Port Fernandina, CPP, the Senate money allocation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations. What you have before you is the Senate form. It's the second half of the House one that was approved at the last meeting. This one will go to Senator Yarborough. A lot of the questions are identical. Senate form's a little shorter than the House form. But the information is still $1.875 million matching dollars are the same as it was on the House form. And so looking for approval to submit to Senator Yarborough's office.
We have a motion.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, and just to build off what Commissioner Hill was asking about, Senate Bill 184, Seaport Security, the fire prevention bill that's been heavily discussed. No updates, still no House companion. Obviously, we'll wait till the first day of session, which is January 13th, is the filing deadline. Could be there. We know there's a bill drafting for it. The original sponsor, I don't believe, is going to file it, so we'll see where it's at. Full Reports Council remains in opposition, as you all do, Jacksport does. That has been relayed to Representative Black and Senator Yarborough. At this point, anything can happen, but I would put odds low as written. Another thing of interest, there's a House bill out there that is actually, odds of this probably low, but it's repealing Florida statute 189.0694, which is the special district report we just talked about. So keep your eyes on that, but that's all.
Sponsor that.
So that is Representative Sam Greco from St. John's in Flagler County. And the Senate sponsor is Senator Trunow from kind of Lake County. So we'll see. But thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, we're up to item 14 in
You all, my report is attached to the meeting packet, and I just want to remind that we have an FDOT OPA coordination meeting on December 9th at Mr. Laporte's office at 2 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, item 15 for commission's item.
Yeah, as we move forward, just to point out that we're on the cusp, actually, this is the last meeting for legislature actually goes into session. There are obviously myriad of opportunities for individual commissioners to go over and talk to the various legislators about the different pieces of legislation that we support or oppose. If we want to do it as part of delegations, but they have a lobby days that are sponsored by particular organizations. There's a Seaport Lobby Day actually several days. It's sponsored by the FTC. It's not restricted to members, but the legislators at the time were promoted to hear and report specific people coming in and talking to them about legislation that they or oppose. I would like to recommend that each one of us individually look at our schedules and try to arrange some time to go over and talk to legislators. Certainly I think this does a fine job representing the relay, but so it's worth pointing out that even though he helps us a lot of things, he's not our lobbyist, he relays job. So I think it's important that we pick up the ball and actually go over to Tallahassee and lobby directly to not just Senator Yarborough, Representative Black, but other people that have sponsored legislation that may have some sort of effect on operations in the forward.
So yeah, I did reach back out to the mural artist and gave him our feedback. It's going to come up with everything that does it. Wildlife front center is going to have more of the cargo handling and more art components that's central to the theme. But then he wished me a hearty happy holidays. I think we might expect that in January. The TPO and then that North Florida Clean Fuels Coalition, as I mentioned earlier, they have a meeting at the TPO offices Friday morning, starting at 8:30, and that is open to any public fleet, and it could be private fleet managers. So frankly, I think it would be of interest to you all, Travis, to Ted, if there's someone who's available to go.
Where is this in Jacksonville?
It is, yeah, it's near like UFL Jefferson Street.
What's the date?
This Friday, so Denver tomorrow. So I can send you the information. I think I sent it to you right before the meeting, so it should be in your box. But that the Clean Fuels Coalition is kind of it's kind of like a unicorn to figure out how to find these opportunities, because the way the funding is, like, the people with the knowledge about this are not people like, right? So like, I'm getting this information at the TPO board level, and I'm trying to disseminate it to, I send it to Naco, I send it to you. But like the school board doesn't have any participation, and none of the school boards have any participation in these initiatives, and a lot of them like 90% funded through like federal and state funds. So there's huge funding opportunities, but there just has to be a will to engage across this process. So it's the same with like Safe Routes to School, which have that as like free studies and funding to get kids off of the side of the street in the dark, right? So they don't get hit. They aren't getting hit in jest. But that requires schools to sponsor those programs. So I've made a lot of phone calls and I forwarded a lot of emails to folks like the Nassau my school board transportation director, Mr. Underhill. I've shared some of this information with them. So I'm just sharing information, continuing to just put it out there, and hopefully we'll get some traction, because there is great funding available through those federal and state programs to do studies to figure out what the opportunities are. And I mean, Nassau County needs on CAC, which is the citizens participation in TPO. We have no representation right now. And we had 3 members that were just really passionate, engaged members of the community that have all resigned. So there's opportunities for folks who are interested and show up in Jacksonville meetings to engage our transportation issues. I'm not even eligible because I'm a board member. So I would love to be able to put forth some names. I'll take people to lunch, explain it to them. I will take them to the TPO board meeting with me. I don't know what more to do to try to get more support and engagement. But we have a lot of roadways and we have a need, and we just don't have a lot of.
We'll make a phone call in the morning to Mr. Hunter. And talk to him. And also his assistant director. So we can put you in town.
Be great. I mean, that, and he would be the first in all of the count, like the Northeast Florida region, he'd be the first school board transportation director to be actively engaged. Because they would love to engage with schools, because we all know that when school's in session, traffic sucks. When school's not in session, we're flying high on the highway, right? So the more we can do to engage with the school system, the better.
Get him involved. All right, the only thing that I have is the Army Corps of Engineers. They are doing their job out in front of the fort right now. That should be finishing up, if not this week, first of next week. So, I'll be in touch with, Mr. Corbett in the morning to find out exactly where Mr. Miller is, the project manager on that bridge. So, I'll give him a call as well. And Travis, I'll contact you and give you the same update it gives me, so where we're at. Sir, Mr. Nash, you got anything?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to the new vice chair as well, and secretary treasurer. Speaking of schools, a different direction, with it though. I served, in fact, Commissioner Cole and I will go serve on the Education Foundation. One of you to an event tomorrow, in Wakama at 6 p.m. We're hosting a Shark Tank style event. It's a called Shark Night, so we'll get copyright infringement. But we have a panel of sharks, and there are going to be 6 teachers that have an opportunity to win. We're going to present their grant, and they're going to have an opportunity to win up to $10,000 each. And so it's a great way to really celebrate education. It's not from the OHPA, but it's still community involved, and I'd love to see some of you all out there to support our teachers. 6 p.m.
Mr. Cole.
Nothing to report.
All right, without any further delay, is there any other issues that we need to discuss before we adjourn?
Do you want to switch your attention, commissioners? I finally got a picture of, this is how long it takes me to do errands. But I got a picture developed for Secretary Peter. And he has a backup sisters, guys. And I'm gonna get Rosanna to send this to the next, so that it comes from Oakland up. But I was having a front cost, and we paid for it, used to get. Yes, there it is. Check it out.
One last thing. I want to wish everybody a very, very Christmas, a safe and happy, prosperous season. Look forward to seeing you back.